So for those of you that have never used the Unreal Engine before, I want to make a quick video, a rapid fire approach to all the different menus, kind of at a glance, so we have a better understanding of it. So we're going to start in the upper left-hand corner here and kind of work our way around. So under File, we have Levels. Levels are scenes, is the same thing. We can open, save them as different things. Projects, we are in a project right now. We can change that. We can make new ones. We can open other ones. We can import, export, etc. Edit, just what you would think. Cutting, pasting. We have some editor preferences and project settings. Put a little kind of check mark in your brain next to these. They're going to become very useful later. Windows. Okay, everything you see here, every one of these boxes is a window. Not all of them are visible at start, obviously. So if there's something you want to see that isn't here by default, we can turn these on. We also can reset our layout. So the way in which these windows are laid out, we can always reset them. So if for some reason you get off or something looks weird, you can always come back here and reset. Help, again, has tons of links to great articles, things that people have spent a ton of time researching doing to make your lives easier. So at any time you're confused, always come to the documentation. Moving along the top bar, saving the current scene. This window right here, this is our scene. If we want to save it, great. Source control, we're not using it right now, so we don't have to worry about it. The content browser, when we click on this, you'll notice at the bottom, it highlights. The content browser is basically like the library for our scene. It holds all of our assets and props and extra bits. So it's kind of like a toolbox in a sense as well. The marketplace is a way for us to get assets in. You'll notice when we click on it, nothing really happens. But if we open up our Epic Games launcher, you'll notice that it has moved us from the libraries tab to the marketplace tab. This is a way to just bring in assets that you can pay for to your project. So let's just say I wanted this really cool shrine. I could buy it, and when I click on that, it would open it up, and then I can bring it into my scene. Settings tab, again, you'll notice when we said that check mark about world settings and project settings, same things apply here. We have the ability to change some really awesome stuff later. The settings menu is great and is going to become very powerful when we talk about lighting. Blueprints, for those that don't know, is a visual scripting language. It allows us to kind of add code in a more visual way. We're not going to be doing too much of it, but I just want to make you aware. If your UI looks a little bit different, mine's a little bit squished because of the layout of my windows. We can drag it over if we click on here, and I can see a couple more options come up. Cinematics is exactly what they think of. We think about cutscenes in games, we think about animated films. We're not going to be worrying about it too much. Maybe a couple things. Building is super critical. Building is how we do a lot of our actions with lighting and geometry. Play button is pretty self-explanatory. It's going to launch a window that lets us play the game. So I'm going to move this back over. Over here, we have an outliner, so we can search. This is everything listed out that lives inside of our scene currently. So if there's something specific, like a light or an object, we can always click on it here and find it, or we can search for it specifically. The next thing is, I'm going to click in this viewport here of our scene on this cube, okay? And you'll notice that this panel that was empty now, called the details panel, is now full of information with tons of stuff. This basically is all the information about this one specific actor, which is what an object is called inside of Unreal. Moving on, we have the content browser, which we talked about. This is kind of our toolbox that holds all of our assets and things like that. And over here, what we notice is a menu system of different categories along the top. So if we click on these, we can see and we can change. We won't get into specifics of them right now, but basically we have kind of some core elements, some other actors that we might want to use, like player starts, a generic cube. We also have our lights. This is where we're going to be coming to grab our lights later. Cinematic things for cameras, visual effects, geometry. It goes on and on. We have painting, vertex painting. If you don't know what that is, we could talk about it later, but probably not in this video. Landscape, so if we want to make mountains, terrains, we need to come here. Foliage tool, this is a way of applying objects to other meshes. It's very handy for placing it. And then we have an ability to edit what are called BSP brushes. They're a method of using meshes that is a little bit older, but has a lot of flexibility in terms of the engine. So I'm going to go back again to our first menu called Place. And in here, what we know now is the general menu layout inside of Unreal, just as a primer for anyone that needed to know.